So back in my early 20s, I heard a story. It sounded a bit like a fairy tale back then, about a farm that began with three farmers longing to grow food for their neighbors in a place where that had largely become impossible due to rising land prices. And so they approached a group of interested neighbors with a plan, or at least a proposal or a plea, for the possibility of local food again in that place. And this included a budget for what it would cost them to undertake growing a year's worth of vegetables for 30 households, vegetables as well as milk and meat. And they sat the interested folks in a circle, and they asked if they could go around the circle and people would be willing to pledge different amounts of money until the budget was covered. And it took a couple of rounds, but they did it. And they're actually still at it 40 years later. And so I carried that story around all through my 20s and 30s as a seed. And then once I stopped farming for business, that seed began to germinate in a way, or I noticed that it had begun to germinate and figured it might be time to go and talk to those original farmers. Older men, one no longer alive, two still alive, and they responded to my email and invited me to come down to the farm. And one of them told me that a few years into the project, a woman came to him, to Anthony, and she said, you know, my husband and I love being a part of this farm and community, but we're gonna have to drop out of the farm. We've both lost our jobs. We're gonna have to drop out of the farm this year. And he said to her, you know, I think you could do us as the farmers and the membership as a whole a real service if you came to the meeting and you pledged zero. And by golly, she had the courage to do just that. And then what the farmer told me was that what happened next, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. That there was a group of middle-class folks weeping in a way that would have been downright embarrassing in public. So what happened there? Why were they weeping? And so we could tell a story that they were weeping out of pity, that they pitied the poor woman and her family. But that might be a little bit too easy of a story to tell. That maybe instead, in that moment, they had a felt sense of themselves as people who had the capacity to carry their neighbors, which also means that they might live among people who had the capacity to carry them on the day that they needed to pledge zero.